top stories tonight. Senator Okpebholo sworn in as Edo State's 5th democratically elected governor. Appeal Court sets up special panel to address Rivers State political cases. Hearing begins Thursday. Police declare bomb scare in Plateau State as false alarm. Unemployment rate dips under South Africa's coalition government. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Wike. Let's begin in Edo State, where Senator Monday Okpebholo has officially assumed office as the 5th democratically elected governor of Edo State, located in Nigeria's South-South region. He was inaugurated alongside his deputy, Dennis Idahosa, by the chief judge of the state in a ceremony held at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin. News Centre's Austin Azu covered the event, where President Bola Tinubu also used the occasion to call for national unity. His report.
Governor Monday Okpebholo and Deputy Dennis Idahosa took their oath of allegiance and office before Edo State Chief Judge Justice Daniel Kungbowa at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City. They pledged to uphold the Constitution, work within its boundaries, and prioritize the well-being of Edo citizens. Supporters cheered throughout the oath-taking ceremony, marking the beginning of a new administration.
Duly discharge of my duties as governor, and that I will devote myself, to the service and well-being, of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
Following this, the governor expected a guard of honor provided by the Nigeria Police Force, decked in ceremonial attire, symbolizing authority and leadership. In his inaugural address, Okpebholo thanked residents for their support and votes in the September 21st governorship election, reaffirming his commitment to fulfilling his campaign promises. He pledged to tackle infrastructure challenges statewide and partner with the federal government, private organizations and individuals to restore Edo State to its former heights of progress and development.
The welfare of our citizens is a top priority for us. To achieve this, we shall implement programs carefully outlined in my 5-point agenda, designed to grow a robust economic growth and improve the lives of our people. They are security, infrastructural and road development, affordable healthcare, water and food sufficiency, value-driven education across the state.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashisho Timan, applauded Edo residents for their choice and underscored the need for unity, outlining the administration's efforts to realize its renewed hope agenda for all Nigerians.
I stand before you with confidence, knowing that we have weathered the hardest days as a nation. We have pulled back from the brink of economic collapse, and now we step forward into a time of growth.
Meanwhile, Edo residents shared their expectations for the new administration led by Governor Okpebholo.
By taking up the motto of leadership in the infrastructural development, human capital development, and putting things right and making peace with people.
But security force in Edo State is not with AK-47 on passion. We are going to use our brain to make sure we secure Edo people. And I believe with us, Edo State is going to be well secured.
And I wish the best to the governor to do more. And it should not segregate and not compromise.
With the inauguration over, the issue of governors will remain a puzzle for the governor and his deputy to solve in the days ahead. In Benin, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
In the meantime, the newly sworn-in governor is set to investigate the administration of his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki. He announced that he would establish a panel of inquiry to examine the previous administration's refusal to inaugurate 14 elected lawmakers of the State House of Assembly in 2019. Away from that, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has established a special 3-member panel to address political cases from Rivers State, with hearings set to commence on Thursday, November 14. This development follows rising legal disputes due to tensions between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. The feud has sparked a wave of legal actions within the state, causing divisions among political actors and resulting in contradictory rulings from courts of equal jurisdiction issues that has prompted concern from both judicial stakeholders and the public. To bring order to these proceedings, Court of Appeal President Justice Monica Dongban Mensem has appointed the panel to manage all appeals linked to the political crisis in Rivers State. To help make sense of this, we're joined now by legal practitioner Henry Akin. Henry, it's good to have you on the news. The establishment of this panel, from what we have, aims to provide a clear and expedited resolution to the political disputes. How will this panel do this?
Well, thank you. I think for me, it's commendable to demonstrate the commitment of the judiciary, particularly the Court of Appeal, to be clearly focused on the avoidable political crisis in Rivers State. That's for the first consideration. I think for me, this clear demonstration of the concern, I would say, that Rivers indigents and residents have expressed and deep worries about how the judiciary has handled it. So that's one. But clearly, whether this will make any change or any difference in what the issues are, I think we're going to watch and then see what the outcomes of the hearings and then the decisions in the respective appeals would be. Because to the best of my knowledge, at the last count, one of the matters, fortunately I was in Abuja in the Court of Appeal, there were about 13 cases already before the Court of Appeal, if there are not more at this moment. So to have constituted a panel, a special panel that will be focused on considering all of these appeals and then making informed and decisive decisions with the issues that are surrounding the contestations in the Rivers State House of Assembly, principally, I think that's commendable. But what's for me is a concern. Yes, please.
Go ahead, conclude your thoughts.
Yes. So what for me is a concern is whether the judiciary will be upright and then very deliberate to address the critical remote issue of Section 109, subsection 1, paragraph G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, considering that the Supreme Court of Nigeria has made pronouncement with respect to that provision of the Constitution and then the clear effects of defection. Because in all consideration, that is the crux of the matter. That is the remote cause of all of the issues that arose eventually and all the litigations in the respective high courts, the state high court and the federal high court that had got to the appeals before the Court of Appeal. So if we get this panel to be able to put together all the concerns and all the agitations, and then be frontal, to be very clear on that particular issue, I think we'll address a whole lot of these questions that have really been asked and then have been debated across the country with respect to the political crisis in Rivers State.
Henry, this crisis seems to have defied all logic, has defied mediation, has defied legal issues. How will this panel streamline resolutions of disputes that already have court rulings on them? That's on the one hand. One fine thing you mentioned is, yes, it's not a bad thing, but their strength will be in their implementation. The president spoke on this crisis, but there doesn't seem to be implementation of resolutions made in a way to resolve the crisis in Rivers.
Yeah, for instance, I had said at some point that the issues that were central in the political crisis in Rivers State were constitutional and were legal. Not just legal, but fundamentally constitutional. And when there are constitutional issues, I argued earlier that they are not to be resolved by some political solution, but clearly judicial interpretation of the provisions of our Constitution. Every citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and every authority, including Mr. President, including the Chief Justice of Nigeria, including the governors of the state, including the judiciary, and citizens are under obligation to uphold the provisions of the Constitution, to defend the Constitution, and the judiciary to interpret matters before them, determine matters before them, just as it is by the Constitution. So when the issues arose about the defection of 27 members, former members of the River State House of Assembly, on the 11th of December 2023, and then fundamentally, the remaining members of the House of Assembly elected for themselves a speaker, and that speaker, pursuant to Section 109, subsection 2, made a declaration of the seats of those former members who had defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress as vacant, and communicated the Independent National Electoral Commission, also an executive body established by the Constitution, Section 153 thereof, to conduct elections to fill those positions. For me, that was the climax of the political crisis in Rivers State. And then we failed, both the commission, INEC, failing to conduct the elections within the 90-day window, and then the judiciary, at the stages we had those matters, maybe the State High Court and the Federal High Court, the issues of jurisdiction, and then conflicting decisions.
Yeah, but Henry, you still haven't answered the question about how this panel, implementation, that is where the problem is. This panel might come up with a finding. What are the chances that they will be implemented? In the interest of time as well, I'm going to squeeze in this question. What gives you hope that this panel will work? Is there a precedent here that we can pick from? Have we had such a panel before? Did they accomplish their goal?
Yes, but I think let me clear perhaps a perception. It is not anything outside of the proper Court of Appeal and then the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal to entertain appeals from the lower court, that's the High Court, that they are referred to a special panel. It didn't mean or suggest probably some sort of a commission for inquiry or anything to give a report. The Court of Appeal and the justices, the three of them are sitting as justices of the Court of Appeal, sitting on appeal on those judgments that have been brought before them from the trial court. So the outcomes will be a decision, will be a judgment of court. So they will be enforceable as any other judgment of the Court of Appeal. And if anybody is dissatisfied, it's still appealable. It didn't mean that because the President of the Court of Appeal has constituted this special panel. I think the purpose sometimes when panels are constituted for special purposes is to expedite the process and to make them focus on just those matters. So it will suggest that these three justices will not be attending to any other general matters that were before them, but to be focused on these River State appeals, all of them. Like I said, at the last count when I was in the Court of Appeal on one of the matters, they were both 13. So they have to focus on all of them, for deliberate focus on them, give time, and consider dispassionately the outcomes of these decisions. And again, being decisions of the Court of Appeal, if anybody is dissatisfied, it's appealable to the Supreme Court. It's not such a special panel that would have considered themselves to be final. So the possibility of the outcome is like the possibility of any judgment of the Court of Appeal, and it's also appealable. But enjoying that, I think we should have an end to all of the litigations in Rivers State. That would be my prayer.
Thank you very much for the clarification. That was important. Thank you for speaking with us as well.
And thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure to be with you, Felicity.
Let's head on now to security matters. Normalcy has been restored to the terminus area of Jos North local government area of Plateau State, where there was a bomb scare on Tuesday. News Center's Chizoba Anyowe in Jos, the state capital, reports that the swift intervention of troops of Operation Safe Haven and the Nigerian police helped to calm the situation by condoning of the area before it was confirmed a bomb scare. Her report.
This is actually the spot where eyewitnesses told us that the police came in the morning to check and be sure that there was no bomb here. And at the end of the day, they also confirmed that there was no bomb.
It's been over 9 years since the last bomb explosion occurred in Plateau State, claiming lives and people's means of livelihood. Mr. Solomon Nwafo was at hand to give an eyewitness account of Tuesday's incident in Jos.
We were here in the morning. All of a sudden, we saw police people. They came, blocked the road. They asked us to remove our vehicles from here. We closed our shops. They were not actually forcing us out of this environment. Before we know it, there were so many, and then they started digging some place down there. As they were digging, one of them were able to tell us that there were some bombs scared. So maybe they got some information or they suspected something. So from there, they blasted something. They were the police that blasted something to see if the bomb will kind of surface or something of that nature, which most of us ran away. But after they have done all they did, they opened up the place, they asked us to open our business, and the road was open.
Corroborating Mr. Nwafo's account on the incident, this is what the Plateau State Police Command had to say.
The EOD technicians immediately deployed to the scene. They dug the place and discovered that nothing was inside the place. They carry all, they check everywhere and nothing. And they flush the hole, and as you can see, there's nothing. So, that's why I'm here, to assure members of the public that they should not be afraid. They should continue with their lawful business, and they should be going. There's nothing to fear about. All this well.
The state governor, while at an event in Jos, called on members of the public to always stay sensitive to their environments.
And I'm glad to inform everyone here that there was no bomb whatsoever. But it was good that people were sensitive, that they saw an object and they suspected that this object should be investigated. I think that is part of what we are called to do in society. Let's be sensitive to things around us. Let's be sensitive to movements around us. Let's be sensitive to comments around us.
While Tuesday's incident remains a scare and people now go about their lawful businesses, it is also a call on security agencies to remain alert for any form of breakdown of law and order in the state. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyui.
Coming up, Abia to prosecute parents for non-enrollment of children in school. That's after the break. Do stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Senator Okpebholo sworn in as Edo State's 5th democratically elected governor. Appeal Court sets up special panel to address River State political cases. Hearing begins Thursday. Police declare bomb scare in Plateau State as false alarm. Unemployment rate dips under South Africa's coalition government. Glad you're still with us. Nigeria's manufacturing sector saw a 30.38% year-on-year increase in output, reaching 5.34 trillion naira in the first half of 2024, according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. However, declining consumer purchasing power led to a significant rise in unsold finished goods, with inventory surging by 357.57% to 1.24 trillion naira in the second half of 2024, compared to 271 billion naira in the same period last year. Man attributed the surge in unsold inventory to inflation, subsidy removal, and naira devaluation, all of which have eroded consumer spending. A 200% increase in electricity tariff was also imposed by distribution companies, has sharply raised energy costs for manufacturers. Let's get some perspective on this. We're joined now by the President, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, Femi Igbesola. Femi, thank you for joining us. 238 billion on alternative energy by manufacturers. Paint us a picture. What is the implication of this?
Well, what this means really is that a lot of funding that is expected to be used for the growth of manufacturing companies are now being diverted to maintain energy, to make sure that there is stability and sustainability of energy. And because of the consistent fall of the national grid, a lot of money is now being spent on providing alternative energy so that the manufacturing company can still continue to operate and to sustain their operations. And this is costing a lot of money, like I've just explained. And what this also means is that instead of using money for other ventures that will continue to grow the manufacturing sector, this is being diverted into providing alternative energy. It's not good enough. And this is actually rubbing off on the profitability of manufacturing companies this time. And that's why you see quite a lot of large companies declaring more or less low profitability or at times non-profitability in their records and account book at this time.
There is a phrase that I'd like you to speak on, the alarming increase in the unsold inventories. This has been blamed on declining consumer purchasing power due to escalating inflation, among other issues. Again, if unchecked, what impact will this have on the economy?
Well, the impact really is that big companies, particularly manufacturing companies, will begin to cut down on their overhead. Cutting down on their overhead would mean that one will have to begin to shut down some of the manufacturing plants, some of the manufacturing process, and it will eventually begin to affect jobs. It means that there are going to be job cuts in some of the manufacturing companies. They are going to see as much as even 50% job cut, and that would mean joblessness for more Nigerians. At the same time, too, it will make the manufacturing companies less attractive to international investors that will want to bring in money for investment. It also means that also banks that have lended to these manufacturing companies may not be able to get their money as at when due, because many of the manufacturers may not be able to live up to their debt obligations as time goes on. It also means again that Nigerian manufacturing products will be less competitive because the prices of these commodities will be very high based on the cost of doing business. When the cost of doing business is high, it is being passed on the consumer, and it means that the prices of the commodity will be higher. And these are very significant factors that should not be overlooked.
Can the government address the power crisis? What is the whispers in the sector? And what should manufacturers do at this point to stay afloat?
Well, our own belief at this point is that government really is confused. Government do not really know how to tackle best this power issue because of the so many collapses we have experienced, particularly this year and significantly in the last 3 months. And for that reason, any serious manufacturing company must begin to look at backward integration. And that's why you see many of the manufacturing companies now looking at how to begin to generate alternative energy to remain in business. When you're in business, even if your cost of production is high and you are still able to remain in business, it is better than going out of business. And that's what we are having this time. And it will come to a point whereby goods and products of local manufacturers will become very less competitive because it will be very expensive compared to imported ones because of our cost of production. And that's why some of us are beginning to advocate that the federal government should begin to look at how to intervene in the power sector so that it will be not only stable, but affordable and accessible to the manufacturing sector of the economy. This is the real sector of the economy that can really grow the GDP of the country, and it should not be toyed with. Again, also, we are looking at making sure that we begin to partner and collaborate with different manufacturing partners to be able to generate single-use energy, such that one manufacturing company can have shared electricity with neighbor manufacturing companies in the same vicinity to reduce costs. These are some of the initiatives that we are looking at the moment. But I must tell you, it's a very tough time for manufacturers this time. And we hope that government begins to look at how to alleviate and intervene in resolving this anomaly.
The onus does lie with the government in this instance. Very important that they do something urgently. Femi, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
The Abia State government has vowed to sanction parents and guardians who fail to enroll their children in wards in school henceforth. Commissioner for Information in the state, Kanu, says people should no longer have any reason for leaving the children of school age to roam the streets since the state runs free tuition in public schools. News Center's Chinwe Ugele reports that the commissioner announced this while briefing journalists in Umuahia.
And junior secondary education in public schools in Abia State is free but attracts low patronage.
Since the governor has announced that there is no payment of school fees or anything, we don't know why they still like to take their children to that to private school.
I am at Amuzuku Primary School 1 and 2. Behind me is School 1 and by my right is School 2. Now the buildings inside this place are dilapidated and need urgent attention, in terms of reconstruction and of course equipment needed in the classrooms. This might have also discouraged parents from enrolling their children in these public schools despite the free education that the state government has promised. Abia State government has now announced plans to punish families that keep children in their custody out of school.
So as from the 1st of January 2025, when this policy will fully come into effect, defaulting parents will be prosecuted under that law. This, of course, is part of the reforms that are ongoing in the state's educational sector.
On a normal school day in recent times, it's hard to see children who are not in school roam the streets, but there are those whose parents stop from going to school some days in order to help run errands.
Unfortunately, you and I can see that during school hours, despite the free education that's been announced by the state government, you still see these children on the street. I think there is need for policymakers to begin to do what you call an oversight function, maybe raise up technical committees to look at the issues affecting the non-implementation of those things.
The Child's Right Act of 2003 guarantees the right to education for minors. Stakeholders and parents agree that part of the best protection one can give a child is to ensure they have basic education.
Children, if the parents don't have money to train them or to send them to school, so what they have to do is to go and learn something, to go and learn handworking.
It's high time that we all stood up as individuals, as stakeholders, as government, to see how best we can protect the rights of these children, their access to education, quality health care.
Their relatives or any person they take care of.
Until government comes to the aid of these schools by ensuring that the infrastructure are top-notch as what we see in private schools, parents might still be discouraged from enrolling their children in such schools. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
Public education and Nigeria, a story to tell. Away from education matters, real estate and housing development experts in Nigeria have called for more effort in fishing out corrupt building experts in the country. They say this will reduce recurring cases of building collapse, which has become a source of worry in recent times. News Center's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more.
Building collapse and demolition are two perennial problems affecting Nigeria's real estate sector. Many experts say this has become a major problem that needs to be solved. At this real estate conference holding in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, experts also blame the challenge of recurring building collapse to corruption in the sector.
Ikoyi collapse was investment of, I don't have the figure, but if you ask me, that investment must be more than 10 billion naira. So it's more than that. It's more than 10 billion. About 100 billion. This is a value I'm talking. 100 billion. So it's a colossal waste. And if you count the number of such collapses happening in Nigeria today, we may be losing actually more than a trillion to that colossal waste. And most importantly, life.
You cannot put the lives of Nigerians at stake
and expect to go scot-free. And that's why we as professionals are insisting that when people actually make the wrong things and cause this collapse that affect lives, people should pay dearly for it.
Somebody gives you 100 bags of cement to do a particular work. You shortchange the person by using 20 bags and selling the other 80 bags. What do you expect? Building collapse.
While demolition of houses and its effects on house owners remain one of the most challenging problems in the sector, some of them believe government is not getting its approach right.
And you know the cost of providing housing. I believe that there should be inclusion, there should be incorporation in terms of before you consider doing demolitions. Some of these houses were built to standard. Some of the times the regulatory organizations were around when they were building these houses.
A man who has no roof over his head is a menace to the society, as well as the society a menace to that same man. So we feel terribly bad, especially those of us in FCT, that buildings that cost millions of naira to erect are pulled down for reasons best known to government, which of course none of those reasons are acceptable to us.
The International Real Estate Conference and Exhibition is expected to provide solutions to the various challenges in the sector. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured residents of the Capital Territory that the Saburi 1 and 2 roads located at the Abuja Municipal Area Council will be completed by December this year. He made this known during an inspection of the ongoing construction work at the location, saying that the federal government will continue to provide the dividends of good governance to citizens. Amadine Uyi reports.
It was a visit to the construction site of the Saburi 1 and 2 roads located within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, says that the construction works is testament to government's commitment to delivering on good governance.
Provision of infrastructure and other things are all inclusive about governance. Providing security is also governance. Making sure that people have quality education is also part of governance. Being transparent is also part of good governance. So governance is inclusive of provision-based infrastructure, being transparent, providing quality of education. All this we are doing as part of good governance.
After inspecting the project, he assured that it will be completed by December this year.
Still insist that this road will be completed by December, save for the new bridge, which was not initially in the plan of work. It was culvert before, but during the last rainy season, there was a bad flood. And so we have to upgrade it to a bridge. And so they are saying that to complete that bridge will take them next 2 months. But for the road, yes, they insist that it will be completed by this December.
The Saburi 1 and 2 roads are expected to decongest traffic from the popular day-to-day building materials markets in the FCT. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Still ahead, unemployment rate dips under South Africa's coalition government. That's after the break. Do stay with us. Data showed on Tuesday that South Africa's unemployment rate fell in the 3 months after the formation of a coalition government that has boosted business confidence and led to hopes for more progress on economic reform. Statistics South Africa figures showed that the official unemployment rate fell to 32.1% in the third quarter of 2024 from 33.5% in the second quarter. The first time the official rate had fallen in a year. The number of employed people rose by 294,000, while the number of unemployed decreased by 373,000. during the quarter. Employment gains were recorded in community and social services, as well as in construction, trade, mining, and transport sectors. This is the first decline in joblessness since the third quarter of 2023, when the unemployment rate stood at 31.9%. To update on COP29, the host of the UN Climate Summit in Azerbaijan, President Ilham Aliyev, on Tuesday defended fossil fuels and the rights of countries to exploit them as dozens of world leaders arrived for the COP29 conference. In his opening address, Aliyev said Azerbaijan had been subject to slander and blackmail for its use of fossil fuels, and that no country should be judged for its natural resources.
Today, Azerbaijan's share in global oil production is 0.7%. In global gas production is 0.9%. But fake news media of the country, which is #1 oil and gas producer in the world and produces 30 times more oil than Azerbaijan, call us Plateau State. To accuse us that we have oil is the same like to accuse us that we have more than 250 sunny days a year in Baku. Countries should be judged by other criteria. For instance, level of unemployment. In Azerbaijan, it is 5.4%. Level of poverty, it is 5.2%.
Let's now join our business desk for today's business updates.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, the federal government of Nigeria has reported a significant increase in the nation's trade balance, reaching 6.5 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2024 due to trade facilitation initiatives. Exports comprised 60.89% of total trade, valued at 19.42 trillion naira, a slight 1.31% rise from 19.17 trillion naira in Q1 2024, and a dramatic 201.76% surge from 6.44 trillion naira in Q2 2023. Speaking at a conference in Abuja, Vice President Kashim Shettima highlighted these gains, reinforcing the government's commitment to non-oil export growth. The National Bureau of Statistics confirmed a strong trade surplus of 6.95 trillion naira in Q2 2024, attributing it to robust export activity and foreign exchange earnings. Meanwhile, Nigeria has entered a $1.2 billion agreement with China state-owned CNCEC to revive a vital gas processing plant essential for aluminium production. This is according to the Petroleum Ministry. The deal, signed with CNCEC and BFI Group, the main investor in the Aluminium Smelter Company of Nigeria, marks the first significant step in reactivating the inactive smelter, which has struggled with prolonged legal and financial issues. Minister of State for Gas, Ekpebholo, stated that restarting the 135 million cubic feet per day gas plant would enhance Nigeria's aluminium processing capabilities, positioning the country as a significant aluminium producer in Africa and globally. The plant is projected to yield 1 million tons of aluminium annually and generate 540 megawatts of power. And still in West Africa, the Ghanaian cedi opened this week with a slight gain following substantial dollar sales by the Bank of Ghana, which provided support to the local currency. The cedi appreciated by 0.2%, trading at 16.33 Ghanaian cedi per dollar on the interbank market and 17 on the retail market. Last week, the central bank proactively stabilized the currency through significant foreign exchange interventions, including 2-day and 7-day auctions, which sold a record $214.04 million within a week. These actions helped address demand backlogs and moderated the cedi's depreciation rate. Despite these gains, the cedi experienced minor depreciation against other major currencies. And that's a package on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
And in sports, 22 Super Eagles players begin training in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire ahead of 2025 Akin qualifier against Benin Republic. Let's now join Favor Itoa for more updates.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
And in sport, the Nigerian Tennis Federation, NTF, has approved the dates for the 37th edition of the Dala Hardcore Tennis Championships, scheduled to take place in Kano from November 15th to 23rd, 2024. Tournament director Yusuf Dati revealed that the top 20 ranked men and 10 ranked women tennis players in the country have been invited to participate in the main draw. The preliminary rounds will run from November 15th to 17th, with the main draw commencing on November 18th. The organizing committee will provide accommodation and feeding for national officials and players. The tournament is usually the season-ending tournament in Nigeria and is played between November and December. The Dala Hardcore Tennis Championship is the second oldest national tennis tournament in Nigeria and is open exclusively to Nigerian players. And now to football, the Super Eagles had their first training session on Tuesday evening at the Stade Félix Houphouët-Boigny, preparing for Thursday's 2025 AFCON qualifier against Benin Republic. Captain and AFCON 2023 player of the tournament, William Troost-Ekong, was part of a group which included reigning African Player of the Year Victor Osimhen, 2024 CAF Player of the Year nominee Ademola Lookman, Bright Osai Samuel, Ola Aina, Victor Collins, Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi, and Alassane Yusuf Abdullahi. They were joined by Bayer Leverkusen striker Victor Boniface and South Africa-based goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali. Real Sociedad forward Sadiq Umar is still being expected. Nigeria currently leads Group D with 10 points from 4 matches, while Benin is second with 6 points. The top 2 teams from the group will qualify for the 2025 AFCON in Morocco. Still talking football, the coach of Edo Queens, Moses Aduko, has made it clear that his team will not underrate Egyptian side Massa FC ahead of their clash on Wednesday. The Egyptian champion produced a major upset in the first round of matches with a 1-0 win over the defending champions Mamelodi Sundown Ladies of South Africa. Aduko admitted that Massa are a very good side, but assured that his team are well prepared and will give their best against them. Edo Queens will face Massa FC on Wednesday in the second group game, while Sundowns will hope to shake off their opening day loss when they take on CBE FC of Ethiopia. Meanwhile, the University of the Western Cape boosted their chances of progression in the CAF Women's Champions League Morocco 2024 after a hard-fought 2-0 win over Agles de la Medina of Senegal in a Group A clash on Tuesday afternoon in El Jadida. 2 second-half goals from Molatello Kobo and Untobifikile Unduluvu were enough to see the South Africans secure the first win of the competition in a result that significantly increases their chances of progression ahead of the final match against host Asfar. Both sides came into the clash desperate for a win following disappointing results in their respective opening Group A matches. UFC were subjected to a 2-0 defeat by TP Mazembe, while Agles suffered a crushing 3-0 loss to Asfar on Saturday. And to wrap up sports update, a rejuvenated Dani Medvedev defeated Alex de Minaur 6-2, 6-4 in the second match at the ATP Tour Finals. 4th seed Medvedev was irate during his opening defeat by American Taylor Fritz on Sunday, but looked far more settled in Tuesday's victory. The 28-year-old Russian, who had been booed for his antics against Fritz, put his fingers in his ears after sealing victory. He lost only 9 points on his serve as he wrapped up the win in an hour and 18 minutes. Defeat for debutant de Minaur means he has no realistic chance of reaching the semi-finals, but for Medvedev, he will enter his last match against top seed Yannick Sinner with hope. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itoa.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News,
Thames' single Found, featuring Brent Fires, has officially sold 1 million copies in the US, earning her an RIAA Platinum certification. The track, part of a 2021 sophomore EP, If Orange Was a Place, gained widespread commercial success after Thames rose to international prominence with a feature on Wizkid's global hit Essence. With over 119 million streams on Spotify, Found has become one of her most streamed songs. This platinum certification adds to Thames' growing list of achievements, as she now holds 3 platinum certifications, including for Free Mind and Futures Wait For You. She also recently earned RIAA Gold certifications for her Billboard Hot 100 hit Higher and her EP for Broken Ears, making her the first Nigerian female artist to achieve an RIAA Gold certified album. Thames joins Wizkid and Rema as the only Nigerian artist with RIAA certified projects, with both Wizkid's Made in Lagos and Rema's Raves and Roses also earning gold certifications. While Marvel has not officially confirmed the development of a third Black Panther film, actor Denzel Washington hinted that one is in the works and he'll have a role in it. Speaking on Australia's Today show during a Gladiator press junket, Washington revealed that the director Ryan Coogler is writing a part for him in the next installment of the franchise. Washington, reflecting on his career, shared that he's now focused on working with the best and taking on roles he hasn't played before, mentioning future projects like playing Hannibal and collaborating with Steve McQueen. The Black Panther franchise has become a cornerstone of the MCU, with the first film in 2018 grossing over $1.3 billion and the 2022 sequel Wakanda Forever serving as both a tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman and a continuation of Wakanda's story. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And that's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Senator Okpebholo has been sworn in as Edo State's 5th democratically elected governor. Appeal Court has set up special panel to address Rivers State political crisis. Hearing begins Thursday. Police have declared bomb scare in Plateau State as false alarm. We also brought you news that unemployment rate has dipped under South Africa's coalition government. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and on YouTube. Many thanks as always for watching. Have a good night.